Cast your minds back to your childhood. It's Monday night, or this.
I'll get the cards, the cards from my generation. I'll take them.
Or maybe just this. If you were a kid like me who grew up watching WWE, you understand that it wasn't just about following your favorite wrestlers, it wasn't just about watching professional wrestling and great in-ring spectacle. Watching WWE as a kid was everything. It was an escape from the mundane day-to-day lives that we all lived, whether you were going to school, going to work, or whatever. You could come home on Monday nights, 8 p.m., and escape for 2 hours watching some fantastic storylines play out, some funny moments in between, and just lose yourself in the enigma that is professional wrestling. That is what was special, at least for me, growing up watching wrestling. I was someone who didn't even believe that wrestling was real at a certain point, but even when I got to that age, I still watched. And it's because pro wrestling gives you that escape, that immersion, that feeling that what you're watching is important enough that you can allow yourself to believe. And that is what was so special about WWE back in the day. And it's something that is glaringly missing from the product today. If you watch WWE today, you'll notice that the ring mats are full of advertisements. Hell, they even have them on the table. You will have the fact that Triple H opens up each show by reminding us the truth that it is indeed a show. And you will have weird instances where professional wrestlers allude to things that are outside of the world of WWE or professional wrestling. And these are things that did not happen while we were growing up. And I want to be clear about this. Yes, advertising was bound to happen eventually. You've had companies do it before, but never to the degree that you've had WWE do it. Yes, you've had instances where wrestlers have come out and said something off the cuff as a shoot and have tried to work everyone, but it wasn't the thing that happened every single week. It was the exception to the rule. And yes, there have been moments where you've had vignettes or very special promos from individuals open the show commemorating things like anniversaries of Monday Night Raw, WrestleMania, whatever, but it wasn't something that happened habitually. And I think through an amalgamation of all of these things and one other huge thing that I'm gonna get into later on in this video, WWE has lost what's made it special and has turned fans like me away from the product. And in this video, I am going to talk all about why WWE does not feel special anymore and what fans like us can do in order to hopefully quell that. All that much more coming up right here. I'm Big Ohm for Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Let's dive in. If we want to talk about why WWE does not feel special anymore, I think the biggest culprit of this is most likely oversaturation. Whether or not you feel it as a fan, the fact of the matter is WWE produces a whole lot of television, and more television than us fans can really keep up with, or at least should be able to keep up with. You have 2.5 hours of Monday Night Raw, plus 2 hours of NXT, plus 2 to sometimes 3 hours of Friday Night SmackDown. And this is not including the 2 to 3 hour Saturday night main events, the 3-hour PLEs, or whatever special event WWE may be hosting. At the end of it, it is a lot of investment of your time in professional wrestling, and this causes two major issues as I see them. Number one, I think when you see something so many times, you're going to notice trends. And if you've been watching wrestling for, at this point, well over 20 years like I have, you'll notice that professional wrestling has certain tropes. Things like the babyface chase, the heel who is trying to do evil things in order to goad the babyface into title opportunities, or simply things like the big comeback in Survivor Series when you're down 3 or 4 to 1. These things have happened multiple times throughout WWE's history, and once you see them play out so many times, you can almost identify these tropes in the moment. You can see them coming. And one of the special things of watching wrestling when you were a kid and you were learning this stuff was you didn't see it coming. All these things were new to you. And that is the beauty of being, I think, a new wrestling fan, or a fan who is rediscovering their immersion into the product. I think that that feeling of belief is at the core of what is missing. And I think that the fact that fans have seen a lot of wrestling, and if you're like me, you've seen a lot of wrestling over the past 20 years, it's going to hurt your fandom to a certain degree. Now, the second problem here is that when you have fans watching so much content on a pretty consistent basis, it either becomes very difficult for some fans to keep up with what is happening, or you have fans who keep up with everything and notice the very glaring issues that the WWE product has today. Today, the WWE product is very far away from where it was back in 2022 and 2023 when people were crowning Triple H as the best booker in all of pro wrestling. And I think that the main problem there has to do with the direction they've gone in, with Triple H being very hands-off on the day-to-day operations of shows like Friday Night SmackDown. It's been reported that he's not even at Friday Night SmackDown most weeks, and it's Road Dogg on the headset. This was also the case at a recent edition of Saturday Night's Main Event, where we saw a major world champion crowned, and it speaks to this idea that I think fans just don't care at a certain point. When you've seen something, when you've immersed yourself into this, it either becomes too much for you to handle or not enough to keep you going. And I think for myself personally, I definitely fall into the latter camp. I notice the trends, and usually I'm very forgiving of inconsistencies in storylines, but recently it feels like WWE does not care about the direction they are going. It does not care about these storylines. They understand that they can just press pause on certain stories, come back to them 6 months later, and then heat things up again. Problem number 2 comes back to this idea of WWE putting a lot of advertising on the ring mats. And I want to be clear, it's not simply about that. Again, a lot of companies have done that in the past. Companies will continue to do that in the future. That's not my issue. The issue is the way that TKO has treated the profitability and monetization of these types of things and their entire approach to the product itself. TKO understands that they do not need to cater to the families, the working class fans of WWE. They understand that there is an affluent fan base out there that can absorb the high ticket costs that they are selling. You have tickets that are reportedly going on sale that were in the same market just last year, nearly double where they were. So you have that issue. You have the fact that TKO president Mark Shapiro has been leading this charge of moving forward into more profitability, trying to show more earnings, trying to show more growth, trying to show that WWE is going to make a boatload of money. And one of the pitfalls of that is you're gonna have some section of the fans not be able to afford going to shows. It has led in certain markets recently to a pretty substantial decline in the weekly attendance for Raw and SmackDown. Again, if you're going to Boston, if you're going to New York or whatever, those major markets are always going to sell very well for WWE. But if you go to New Mexico, if you go to South Dakota, if you go to Missouri, you're gonna have a lot harder time trying to sell tickets at the prices that WWE is selling them at. So you have that disenchantment that fans have that makes the product feel like it's further away and distances themselves from the product. And it's something that I've felt myself. And this also comes into the second problem with the entire profitability model that WWE has gone towards. And it is that it is very transparently corporate. And this might just be a me thing, but one of the bigger problems that I've noticed in WWE is it doesn't feel like they're speaking to us, the fans. It feels like whenever they are touting a major stat, whenever they are announcing something big, whenever they are making new ground, it feels like WWE is just speaking to corporate sponsors or the board itself. And I think there's no better example of this than the first ever edition of WWE Raw on Netflix, when The Rock came out there and cut a promo after Triple H had already cut an intro promo, which, again, major problems here, but let's attack them one at a time. But The Rock comes out and cuts this promo, and it is very blatant that he is ignoring kayfabe. It is very blatant that this is, quote unquote, not part of the show, and it's very blatant that he is speaking to not the fans, not even the people who cover pro wrestling, but speaking directly to the corporate sponsors and the corporate partners that WWE has. That is why he name dropped the likes of Bella Bajaria and Ted Sarandos. And shout out to both of them. But who the fuck are Bella Bajaria and Ted Sarandos, right? I don't want to spend too much time on this because I also think that my hatred of corporations might have something to do with this, but I do feel like, as someone who understands how these people talk, a lot of the communication that WWE does externally feels more like they're talking to those people than they are talking to us fans. And that creates additional distance between us and them. My last problem has to do specifically with Triple H. And I mentioned this at the beginning. Triple H coming out at the beginning of major PLEs and doing the "Are you ready?" might be a nice hype move for the crowd in attendance, but it has become a very tired trope that does more to take away from the product than I think add to it. When WWE was special, it felt like you just got right into the action. You got right into the promos. You got right into the matches. You got right into what you were there for, and that was professional wrestling. You're not there for Triple H to aura farm. And this is growing with the perception that Triple H wants to make himself the Dana White of WWE, and in many ways he's already done that. But at the same time, Triple H is not as close to the day-to-day operations as he probably should be. It was very rare back in the day for Vince McMahon to miss tapings, to miss Raws, to miss SmackDowns. Yet Triple H now does this on a week-to-week basis. And far be it for me to compare Triple H to the monster as a human being that was Vince McMahon, but the fact of the matter is that when it came to booking, when it came to being there, even if you didn't like what Vince McMahon was doing as a booker, he was present. And it felt like things started and ended with him. The perception that many people have with Triple H is, yes, he's like the big grandpa of WWE now, but he's not present. He's off doing stuff with Donald Trump. He's off doing stuff with the UFC. He's off doing stuff that doesn't have to do with WWE, that takes time away from his responsibilities as the chief content officer of the company. And if that is where we're at, then there's no wonder that the storylines, that the matches, that the feuds, that the feeling is suffering. Because if Triple H doesn't care, then why the hell should I? And in conclusion, I really want to make it clear. I want WWE to be better. I want that feeling of watching Monday Night Raw back in my youth. I want that feeling of watching Monday Night Raw back in the day, every single Monday, 8 p.m., sitting down, eyes glued, phone away, just immersed in what was happening. Because to me, those are some of my favorite memories of being a wrestling fan. Not only when I believed that the product was real, but even after that, when I believed in the product. And if us fans don't have belief in the product, then why the hell do we even watch? Anyway, I know you guys all have thoughts, so let me know in the comment section below. Does WWE still feel special consistently to you? Is it more of a momentary thing? Do you have special moments that you care about? Or do you just not bother with the product at all? Let me know down below. Also, be sure to smash that thumbs up if you haven't already. Hitting that thumbs up does way more than you will ever know. And also consider becoming a YouTube member. For as little as $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive content and all future video essays early and often. So go check that out, hit that join button, build this community to even bigger heights. And until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.